You are now live, sir.
Thank you, Tina. I want to welcome everybody to the July 14th, 2020 meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for the City of Hendersonville. We are on Zoom, as we have been for the past couple months, and we're going to begin this meeting as we have typically on Zoom calls, and that is by asking our city recorder, Kay Franklin, to call the roll. So everybody who's an alderman, please go ahead and unmute yourself, and this will be a test to see how well we do and how well we can speak up enough for Kay to hear us. So Kay, if you'll go ahead and call the roll, I'd appreciate it.
Bolt.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Cunningham.
Here.
Edwards.
Here.
Hayes.
Here.
Petrelli.
Here.
Robertson.
Here.
Skidmore.
Here.
Sprouse.
Here.
Waters.
Here.
Woodcock.
Here.
Clary.
Here. Kay was at 13.
That's 13.
I appreciate that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the way that we started meetings for the city long before COVID-19 hit, and that is to begin with a prayer and with a pledge. So please join me in bowing your head, and then you see the flag sort of off to my side, and then we'll continue with the pledge. So let us go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together, and thank you for these opportunities that you presented to us, and thank you for this wonderful city that we are a part of. Thank you for the leadership that we have here, and thank you for these folks that have come together, and thank you for the community that you provided for us. We need to be so grateful for many of the other opportunities you've provided us, and to look forward to the change in seasons and remind ourselves that a change in seasons is a good thing, and it continues to provide us with so many of the wonderful gifts that only you can provide. We also need to remind ourselves that we do have some people who are in pain. We have a lot of people who are still suffering from COVID-19. And we also need to remind ourselves that Jerry Fentress and Jana Fentress and their family are dealing with some craziness and some difficulty. And please continue to look after that family. And thank you for the healing hands of the doctors that were able to help yesterday for Jana. Also need to thank you for the folks who protect us here and the people who protect us far away, and to sing your praises for the 244th birthday of our nation. Hope we can all look out and see that we are certainly blessed by what you have provided us. In Jesus' name we pray, Lord. Amen. Please join me with the flag right over here. I'm going to try to move out of the way a little bit, and please join me for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
One nation.
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I appreciate that. For the acceptance of the agenda, first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to group a couple items that might make things move a little bit easier for us. Under ordinance and resolutions, I am going to entertain a motion to accept the agenda. But what I'd also like to do is group under ordinance and resolutions B, C, D, E, and F. I'm sorry, and G. If you feel like you want to speak, if you feel like you want to vote against one of those, then you really should want to go ahead and pull those items out right now and separate one of those. And then I'm also going to ask that under other agenda items, we group A, B, and C, all those together. So I'm going to entertain a motion that we accept the agenda. I need somebody to make that motion, please.
Repeat those, would you, Mayor?
Yeah, Alderman Waters?
Repeat those.
Sure. Alderman Waters, will you make a motion, then I'll repeat those.
Yes, I do.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
And a second from Alderman Edwards. Alderman Waters, what I would like to do is group items B, C, D, E, F, and G under ordinance and resolutions.
B, C, D.
F, and G.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And then under the next section, I'd like to group all the items under other agenda items. That's A, B, and C.
Got this. Thank you.
Can you make that part of your motion?
So moved.
Okay. Alderman Edwards, do you agree to that?
Yeah, I would like to pull out F. I think we might need to have a little discussion on F.
F
There's no disagreement, it's just discussion.
We can still have discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, we can still do that.
Mayor, let's pull out C just because of, we need to have a separate vote on that just to technically add it to the agenda, if that's okay.
Okay, so what we're gonna group is B, D, E, F, and G. Alderman Waters and Alderman Edwards, do you agree with that?
So moved.
Okay,
Second. So, yeah.
okay.
Second.
And then we'll still group A, B, and C as other agenda items, unless, of course, somebody would like to pull out one of those items to vote against it. Okay, so we have a motion and a second for the agenda. We also have a motion and a second for the amended agenda, for that amendment of the agenda. So now what we're voting on is grouping B, D, E, F, and G, and A, B, and C. So we're just voting on that right now. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye when Kay calls your name. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Larry.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Okay, so that is the amendment. Alderman Sprouse, would you like to make a motion that we consider item C?
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion to add item C to the agenda.
Okay,
Second. I'll second it.
we have a motion from Alderman Sprouse and a second, I think, from Alderman Campbell. Was that you?
It was Hayes.
Alderman Hayes. Thank you, Alderman Hayes. Any discussion on adding that item to the agenda? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye when Kay calls your name. Those opposed, please say no, and that's adding item C.
Bolt, Bolt, Brown,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Petrelli,
Yes.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Bolt,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Okay, thank you. Any other amendments to the agenda? Any other proposed amendments to the agenda? I see no hands. I see no hands. All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Yes.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you, Kay. Next on our agenda is presentations. We have none. Public hearing, we have none. And then approval of the minutes from our June 23rd, 2020 meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion from Alderman Waters
I'll second it.
and a second from Alderman Hayes. All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented in your packet from June 23rd, 2020, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown, Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you, Kay. Now we have citizen comments. I'll read you the rules of our citizen comments. We have 3 people signed up. They're Jen Yamin, Patty Daniels, and Kate Ritchie. We're going to get to you all 3 in just a second. Let me read the rules for those, which I'm pretty sure that you've probably already seen those online. The speakers must identify themselves by name and address. The public comment should be limited to 5 minutes per individual, and that's not time that can be transferred to other speakers. All comments are to be directed to the presiding officer, that's me, not to the alderman, city staff, or other members of the public. Comments must address issues, not individuals or personalities. Personal attacks shall not be tolerated. Comments may support or oppose particular issues or measures, but the motives of those with different views shall not be questioned or attacked. Malicious comments will not be allowed. Speeches for or against particular candidates running for public office shall not be allowed. Jen Yamin. Go ahead, Jen.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for letting us attend. I'm Jen Yeoman.
Hey, Jen, I'm gonna stop you real quickly. Jen, I'm gonna stop you real quickly.
And
Jen, your connection isn't real good.
My husband Rick and our son Reed, right here with us. And
Hey, Jen, I need to stop you real quick. Your connection isn't real good right now, and we're not able to understand you. Let me grab Tina here. Tina, is there something that we can do to help Jen so we can understand her better?
Unfortunately, not from this end. The best bet is for her to disconnect and then reconnect to the meeting.
Okay, Jen, did you catch that? She is frozen right now.
Mayor, I'll make an appropriate motion if it's needed. If she comes back at a time other than citizens' comments, I'll be happy to make the motion to suspend rules so she can come back in.
Okay.
She just dropped off.
She just dropped off. Okay. Do you see her? Alderman Sprouse will come back to you. I think that's certainly appropriate. Tina, do you see her trying to reconnect?
Not yet. We might want to move forward with one of the other
so.
speakers. And oh, here she is.
Okay. Jen, if you want to give it another try, feel free. You're still on mute right now, and if it doesn't work, I'm fine, and I think the board is fine with coming back to you if there's something that you can fix. But go ahead, let's give it another try.
is the connection better?
Not really.
Can y'all hear me?
Off and on.
Let's go and try it.
Jen, we have a couple options. You can continue to try, and we'll give you 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, if you can't hear me,
We don't hear anything right now, Jen, and it's
okay.
Oh, there you go. We heard you there.
Hey, Jen, go ahead and turn off your video. Let your system just concentrate.
I'm glad to be here tonight. Can y'all
There we go. Keep
hear
going.
me better now?
Yes. Keep going. Jen, we could hear you there now that your video is turned off. So if you want to go ahead.
Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yes, that is better.
Well, anyway, thank you for letting me speak tonight. I'm here with my husband, Reed. I'm sorry, my husband, Rick. Okay, thank you. I'm here with my husband, Rick, our younger son, Bryce, and then our older son, Reed. And I just wanted to thank you for letting me speak tonight. I wanted to say a special thank you to Alderman Hayes, one of my ward aldermen, and he has been instrumental and has represented our family very, very well. So thank you to him, and thank you for letting me reach out and he taking the wheel on this resolution. I really want to express gratitude to all the aldermen and alderwomen and Mayor Clary for signing on and sponsoring this resolution. July 26, 1990, a very important piece of legislation was passed, the American with Disabilities Act, which has made great impact on our son Reed, who has special needs, and many citizens like him. On this 30th anniversary of the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act, I'm grateful to organizations like Project 22 and the Special Needs Sports Foundation, who provide meaningful and very needed social outlets for the special needs community of Hendersonville. Thank you especially to Patty Daniels, who leads Project 22, and Gail and Ed Neal, who lead the Special Needs Sports Foundation, for their selfless servant hearts. Their commitment to the Hendersonville special needs community is unwavering, and for that, we are really grateful. And again, thank you. We live in a great city, and we live in a city that's inclusive and that is very supportive of special needs, like our son Reed. And again, hi, Jamie. Sorry, but thank you very much.
Jen, thank you. I need to mention Jen's address is 44 Carrington Road. And next we have Patty Daniels from Timberwood Drive in Gallatin.
Yes, my name is Patty Daniels, and I'm the program coordinator for Project 22. And for those of you who don't know, Project 22 is a social club for individuals with special needs, ages 16 and up in Sumner County. We promote friendship and fun through a variety of social and recreational leisure activities. On behalf of Project 22, I'd like to thank the mayor and the aldermen and women for recognizing Project 22 for our work with individuals with special needs on the 30th anniversary of the American with Disabilities Act. We appreciate this honor. Special thanks to Jen Yaman for submitting this to the board. And thank you for ARC of Cumberland Valley for sponsoring this program. And thank you to our board person, Russ Edwards. We appreciate it very much.
Patty, thank you. And thank you for joining us. Next on citizen comments, we have Kate Ritchie of Country Hills Drive.
Hi guys, thank you so much for having me tonight. My name is Kate Ritchie. I'm a 6-year resident of Hendersonville. I have 3 boys that are in Station Camp schools, and I moved here 6 years ago to lead the state for Mothers Against Drunk Driving as their executive director. In April 1st, I started as the executive director for Habitat for Humanity here in Sumner County. And tonight I wanted to tell you, I'm sure you're all familiar with our home building program, but tonight I wanted to tell you a little bit more about our repairs program and ask for your partnership. Our owner occupied repairs program is an extension of Habitat for Humanity's construction services. It's a nationwide effort to serve low-income homeowners who are affected by age, disability, or family circumstances and struggle to maintain the condition or the utility of their homes. On its face, owner-occupied repairs is a construction activity, but at its heart, it's a community development program that increases the viability of neighborhoods by preserving the existing housing stock, making homes more livable, and the community safer, more attractive, and enjoyable place to live. Our repairs are an extension of Habitat's core program, which allows us to serve different populations, all existing homeowners, yet they have the same basic tenets for their eligibility for our program. They must have a demonstrated need, the ability to pay, and the willingness to partner. And follow Habitat's model of a hand up, not a handout. The partnership between Habitat for Humanity and our homeowner families are true collaborations. We're grounded in the mutual respect and a core belief that everyone should have an opportunity to live in a safe, decent, and affordable home. Our partnerships with families are sound investments in the future, made by people who believe strongly in one another and in the greater good. This program, it can be a significant tool to engage our city's affordable housing and revitalization needs. By extending grace and hope to these struggling areas, we can have a dramatic impact throughout the community. So I look forward with partnering with y'all, and I'd like to invite you to a cup of coffee at any time and speak with you further about how Habitat for Humanity and Hendersonville can partner.
Kate, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, have a good night.
You too.
That's all the citizen comments there. Next, we have committee reports. Finance Committee, Chairman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no committee report tonight, but I did want to thank again the board, the majority of the board, the city administrator, all the department heads and employees for working together to bring forth a workable budget 3 weeks ago. I know it was not perfect, but it was as perfect as we can get right now with the information that's available to us. And I thank you guys very, very much. Thank you.
Chairman Cunningham, thank you. Chairman Sprouse, General Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. General Committee met earlier tonight. We had a pretty full agenda. I appreciate the committee helping us get through it pretty quickly. Resolution 2020-34. All of these have been recommended to the board, and you'll be seeing them in an upcoming agenda. We have a community development block grant application. Staff did a really good job, as they have every year on that. We have resolution recognizing the anniversary of the American with Disabilities Act. We had a resolution amending job classification list and pay tables, basically just catching up our list of jobs in the city and how they fit into the pay plan to previous decisions that we have made with the budget in the last few months. We had a discussion with the city administrator concerning 3 interim positions. We have 3 department heads who are interim, and it is the intention of the city administrator to work forward to making actually permanent recommendations to us prior to the hire of a new city administrator. We also closed out with a discussion about large mailings going out of City Hall. We're having a problem of really, especially recently, with large mass mailings going out at city expense, sometimes on city letterhead, always with city postage and being put together by city staff, but we're not really seeing what they are. In case we found out in committee that we got an invoice from a printing company for some letters that went out, city administrator doesn't know, finance doesn't know, the city recorder doesn't have a copy of anything. And so we're running into some pretty large expense here, both in time, staff time and preparation, and it's just a legitimate expense. We only know because we get invoices or because the postage meter says something. So there's going to be a new administrative policy coming out trying to deal with bulk mailings. First, for just making sure they're for legitimate purposes. And secondly, making sure that city keeps a copy of the record, because nothing can be more of a public record than a letter that is on public letterhead and paid for by taxpayers. So that's what we're going to have. And so see the city administrator coming to you with that policy for your input as he drafts that. And that's what we have.
I'm curious to know who was the person mailing them.
Well, the thought is on the last one came from the mayor. Mayor, can you help us with that?
Can't hear you.
Yeah, I can get with you tomorrow and figure out exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, could you help too?
I could shed some light on.
Hold on, this is a committee report from Alderman Sprouse, Chairman Sprouse, excuse me.
I was asked a question I can't answer. I'm happy to, if Ms. Petrelli has some information, I'm happy for her to share it with us.
Thank you, Chairman. So like I mentioned in the committee meeting, I asked the mayor and the city recorder on Thursday, July 2nd for a copy of that letter that was sent out. It was 921 letters at a cost of over $400 just in postage, and I didn't hear anything. And then the city recorder emailed me back on Tuesday, July 7th, saying that she had additionally asked the mayor for a copy and was not given one. So I don't know what the letter was. All I'm simply asking for is that the city have a record, a record of it, a copy, and that aldermen also receive a copy of the letter so that we are up to speed on what documentation is being sent out. Thank you.
Chairman Sprouse, thank you. Chairman Brown, Public Safety Committee.
Hold on. I'm not done with my report.
Go ahead.
Based upon that information, Mayor, can you get a copy of that letter to both Mrs. Petrelli and to the city recorder tomorrow?
Sure, I need more specifics on what that letter is, and I'm not real sure. I got a request for a flyer, and I wasn't real sure what that is.
Okay, Mayor,
we can take care of that.
Let's do this then. Any letter that you have sent out, particularly one that's a bulk mailing, and the city recorder, the person who is charged with maintaining city records, does not have a copy, please provide her a copy tomorrow.
Happy to.
Thank you.
Chairman Brown, Public Safety Committee.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, can't see me. That's probably a good thing. So don't, I've already asked Tina what happened there. Don't really know. So we called our meeting to order. We approved our minutes from May the 19th. We also approved our minutes from July the 2nd, special called meeting. We had discussion on fire department site selection for Station 7, which is a resolution that is just moving forward. We will be using some land that our parks has over by the horse barn instead of the land that was donated to us, simply for the fact it's in a good position. Will give us a good ISO rating. We do not have to spend $200,000 or $300,000 on doing work to get it ready, and that's so that'll be coming to you. We passed a resolution for accepting a firehouse subs grant for our police department for $18,873. We also passed a resolution 2020-35 accepting a donation from Citizens Police Academy for 2 Segways. There was a joke made about that was for our chief and assistant chief, but both of them said they weren't going to use them, which is probably a good thing. So we also asked, after our last meeting, which became kind of contentious, I think, but there were some questions asked by the public and some other folks when it came to an amendment that the mayor had made of about pulling $550,000 roughly out of the fire department's budget and about $85,000 out of the police department budget. That I had made a remark about how did we come to those decisions by standing back and throwing darts at a wall and just taking one hit. Well, I had a couple people challenge that. Had some people that were that talked to me that were very curious about some of those things that money might have hurt us if we'd lost it in that. So at that time, I talked about ladder testing, physicals for our firemen, pump testing, and some other issues of how important those were to leave them in that budget every year. So to take an alderman out of it, and take our chief out of it, to bring somebody in who was a professional that could help us understand that a little bit better, and maybe help this community understand that, how important that money is, and us as a board especially, to leave that alone. I asked Dennis Wolf from MTAS. He is our advisor. He works, does basically the same thing that Gary Jekyll does, only does in a different capacity. But he attended our public safety meeting. I want to thank him for being at our BOMA meeting, for traveling here via the airwaves. He never had to drive to get here, so he had a pretty smooth trip, and we didn't have to reimburse for any gas or buy meals. So that was a good thing too. But I want to introduce Dennis and give him a little bit of biography. He became a volunteer firefighter from Shelby County Fire Department in 1974. And in 1977, he became a paid firefighter for the Germantown Fire Department. He rose through the ranks to the position of fire chief in 1995. He held that position for 15 years, until which time he retired in 2011 and decided that he would go to work for the University of Tennessee Municipal Technical Advisory Service as a fire management consultant. He holds a bachelor's degree in fire administration from the University of Memphis, a master's degree in fire service leadership from Grand Canyon University. He's a graduate of the National Fire Academy's Executive Fire Officer Program. He holds personal accreditation as a fire chief officer and as a chief emergency medical services officer from the Center of Public Safety Excellence. And he has a designation of a member of a fire in the Institution of Fire Engineers. He is past president of the Fire Chiefs Association. So I think probably whatever Mr. Wolf would tell us, we could probably take to the bank. And I'm going to ask him a question or two. You're welcome to do that as well. It's part of probably one of the biggest parts of my report, because I think it's very important that we understand those things. And Dennis, again, thanks.
Chairman Brown, are you making a motion to suspend the rules?
I'll move that we suspend the rules, but he's part of my report, so.
I'll second.
Okay, so a motion and a second. And again, help us understand, this is information about our budget that we have passed three weeks ago?
This is information about why it's important that we have things in our fire department budget that we did pass, and then we keep them there, and how important it is for our ISO rating, et cetera.
Okay, all those in favor of suspending the rules, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Definitely aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Yes.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters, Woodcock,
Aye.
Waters,
I'm sorry.
Clary,
Aye.
that's unanimous.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Wolf, I guess we have a couple questions. Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. The questions basically is just, I'd like Dennis to take a minute and explain to us how important it is for ladder testing, pump testing, hose testing, fire department physicals for our personnel to protect our folks in our community. You're the professional. Tell us how it affects our ISO rating if we don't do those things. So, thank you.
Thank you. Glad to be here. It's the fastest time I've ever made it to Hendersonville. We'll talk about some of the requirements for pump and hose testing. We'll start with those. It's a good idea to test your pump for just a simple reason. You want to make sure it works when you need it. ISO, the Insurance Services Office, who rates communities and assigns the ISO rating, requires that as part of their fire suppression rating schedule. It's also required by the National Fire Protection Association's pamphlet 1901, Standard 1901. ISO assigns point values to pumpers, to fire engines, based upon the size of the pump, the amount of water it carries, tools and equipment, and testing of the pump and the fire hose. An engine is worth 600 points total. To show how important annual pump testing is, it's worth 100 of the 600 points. Annual hose testing is worth 50 of those 600 points. So together, annual hose testing, annual pump testing is 25% of the credit that's available for an engine company. Now, how this affects your ISO rating, it's not really easy to explain, because credit for the tools, equipment, and the testing is given in section 512C. That number, that calculation from that section is used in other sections of the grading schedule. So in other words, if you score low in your engine company, it can affect the credit that you get for deployment analysis, the credit that you get for your firefighters. So it can have a ripple effect through your ISO rating. It's really not possible to say it would cause your ISO rating to go down or to go up. It's just not possible for me to say that without having a whole lot more detail. I will say that y'all do have a good ISO rating. Class 3 is a good ISO rating. Hose testing done annually. ISO also looks back 3 years. So you can't skip a year, because if you do, then you lose the ability to have annual hose testing. Ladder testing is another requirement. ISO requires ladder testing in section 542B of the grading schedule. A ladder is worth 416 points. So 50 of those 416 points is credit for annual testing. The ladder itself, the ladder on top of the truck, is worth 200 of the 416 points. ISO and NFPA both require that at least once every 5 years, you do what's called a non-destructive test on that ladder. This is for safety because it checks for welds, cracked welds, stress points, tightness of the bolts, and things like that. So if you do not do the non-destructive testing at least once every 5 years, you get 0 credit for the ladder. So 200 of those 416 points you would get no credit for. That would also have a bad effect on your ISO rating, and it would have that ripple effect and be carried through other parts of the grading schedule. You mentioned firefighter physical exams. Last year, the state legislature passed the Barry Brady Act. It's a bill to help find and treat cancer in firefighters. It requires that if a firefighter comes to the city and says, I would like to have an annual physical that checks for these 4 cancers covered by this law, which is Tennessee Code Annotated 7-51-201, the city must provide that. The city can't elect not to provide it. The law says that the physical must be provided at no cost to the employee, and that also includes the deductible. So the city must bear the entire cost of that physical. You want your firefighters to be physically fit. You want them to have, God forbid, if they do have cancer, and I can speak to that as I'm a cancer survivor, you want to make sure it's caught early so it can be treated, and the survival rate will be good. So physicals, annual physicals, great idea, required by state law. We need to talk about fit testing for firefighters. And when I talk about fit testing, I'm talking about the use of the self-contained breathing apparatus. OSHA requires that anyone who uses a respirator must have a fit test, and it must be done annually. So the firefighters must have an annual fit test, and there's a cost for that. The self-contained breathing apparatus that they use also must have, I call it a flow test, but it's basically a performance test conducted on a machine to make sure that the self-contained breathing apparatus provides the correct amount of air and all the safety features work. Because when your firefighters put these on and go into the burning building, you want to make sure that they have enough oxygen and air to breathe, and that the mask is going to function as it's supposed to under those extreme conditions. So these are just some of the things that are required by different standards, different regulations, different ordinances, and they can have an effect on the safety of your firefighters plus your ISO rating for your city.
Mr. Wolf,
Okay.
thank you. Alderman Brown, anything else in your report?
I don't think so, unless the chief, fire chief would like to, or anybody from the safety committee would like to ask Mr. Wolf another question, or I know Ms. Petrelli had talked about redlining some things before. It might be good if she brings that up.
Alderman Petrelli, do you have a question for Mr. Wolf?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Wolf, for being at our BOMA meeting here. And yes, what I mentioned was that some of these items, because we've had the discussion for the last 4 years where these items have been removed, and it's really a mute and wasteful discussion to have during budget time, that if our finance director could just highlight whatever color, I was thinking red or blue, these items that just cannot be removed from the budget, so that as we have new folks filter in onto BOMA and whatever, we know that those items can never be removed, kind of like FICA. I mean, you just cannot remove these items from the budget. Thank you.
Alderman Brown, thank you, Alderman Petrelli. Alderman Brown, anything else in your report?
I have a couple of things if I can.
Chief does.
So in saying what, following up what Mr. Wolf said, thank you for being here. I'd also like to state that some of that stuff we're doing in-house, the flow testing, the fit testing, we do. We certify our MSA techs, our APAC techs to save the citizens money. We do those things in-house. We don't have to hire a company from outside to do that. So I would just like to say there's a lot more money that we could be spending out, but we certainly always try to look at ways to save the city money. And I've got qualified technicians that do some of this testing, but some of it is inevitably has to be done by folks that have a higher level training than we do.
Alderman, thank you, Chief Bush. Alderman Brown, anything else in your report?
No, I'd just like to thank Mr. Wolf again for coming in, maybe clearing a little bit of that up for the public and some of my colleagues on the board. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Skidmore, Public Works Committee.
Yes, thank you very much. We're scheduled to meet the Public Works on the 28th. It's coming in probably another week. We've got a lot on the agenda. We've got the recycling program. We've got the stormwater drainage. We're starting to attack that. We've been blessed by, I know this sounds crazy for me to say this, but we've been blessed by a lot of hot weather. So that's good for Public Works. So I've been very grateful. Let's hope the Lord just keep blesses us with hot weather again. So I do want to say that. And also I do want to say that Brandy King had called me today, and we'll get right on this, but there's a baby deer that's been hit over off of 123 Roberta. It's out there in the middle of the yard. And unfortunately it's been hit. And so we'll try to get out there and get our crew out there to pick that up, the people that are responsible for that. And I do, usually I normally, I don't say this, but I made a promise probably about a year ago that I would when it's real serious, but apparently we had some serious problems with trash pickup. It seems like the back end of the peninsula over here on the Walton Ferry side, they didn't go down there and pick up hardly anybody's trash. And not only that, but even on the interior side, there's been several misses there. And I don't know, I'm going to talk to John Bradley about it, but I think under the rule of parliamentary procedure, a standing committee can have an executive committee meeting of the committee members, and I'm gonna inquire about that. But it seems like I remember in my studies of Robert's rules that you are allowed to do that, because if that's the case, I think I would like to speak with the committee members privately. If any of you all have the same problem within your district, let us know in Public Works. Daryl, I think, did. Alderman Woodcock in Ward 5. Did anybody else by chance have that today? All right. Well,
I can
if you
answer,
do,
Mark.
always call them and let them know. I think Scott.
Alderman Sprouse, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I've never ever said I told you so, but guys, when a crew's sick, I can understand a crew being sick causing pickup to be delayed, but an organization should be large enough that if a crew is sick, they can pull in somebody else. And that's I don't want to rehash a decision that was made last year, but that's a concern.
Thank you, Alderman Sprouse. I appreciate your comments with that. It does concern me a little bit, but I just want to alert the rest of the board members of that situation that's going on. But we as a board, and as a mayor, the mayor and the board of aldermen, we know this is not the first time. So I just want y'all to put that in the back of your mind right now. Let's see what happens tomorrow and the next couple of days, and see. We had some misses even on Friday of last week, and I just wanted to let the board know. I normally don't talk about the trash pickup here, but I felt that you all needed to know it. That we are watching it. We are keeping an eye on it, and it is. This is the summer. I recognize that. But I'm becoming a little concerned about it. I just thought I would let you guys know that. But anyway, we're going to meet next and on the 28th, we're going to talk about other issues we've got, but I'm going to talk to John Bradley about our attorney, because I think there's somewhere in Robert's rules where we can do that. And if that's the case, we may need to get together. Thank you, Mayor.
I appreciate that.
Skidmore, let me speak up here, Mrs. Skidmore. You can
Hold
call
on,
a special.
John, hold on 1 second. Alderman Petrelli, go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Alderman Skidmore, I just wanted to make sure that I was understanding you. Are you saying that you're going to have a discussion in 2 weeks about garbage? Is that what you mean?
No, we may even, if I may respond, Mayor.
Sure, go ahead. Sure.
Thank you, Mayor. No, we won't have it on the 28th. I can assure you that, because we're still playing catch up. We've got, of the COVID virus, we've got about 3 really. Trash is a serious issue in Hendersonville, but these other items that we've got, we really need to address, like recycling. We've got to definitely address that. We've also got to address the stormwater drainage ordinance.
I guess my question is, are you planning to have a meeting about garbage since you're the chairman of Public Works?
Yes.
Okay, so when will that be?
I'd have to look at a calendar, and I don't have one in front of me. I really don't. So it'll probably be within the next 3 weeks.
Okay, well, I am concerned. I mean, as you know, Oliver Vieira was missed last week. Oliver Roberta was missed today. So I am concerned about the service at this point. And I realize that there's a lot of factors going on, but I do think we need to quickly get to a resolution. Maybe a special called Public Works meeting regarding garbage again would be appropriate, so that we can get everybody on the same page as to what the solutions are, because we really need to quickly come up with solutions.
Well, we may, thank you, I appreciate it. I'm going to look at the calendar and see, Peg, to see whether we can do it within probably I'm going to see if I can look, I'm going to look at it to see if we may be able to do it within a week, because this is just an ongoing process here, and they're failing, and I'm concerned about this, and it's in the middle of summer, and I don't know.
I have some great video footage for you, Mark, whenever you have your meeting.
Hold on, Alderman Woodcock. Let's go. Mr. Bradley, do you want to answer Mark's question? Then we'll come back to Alderman Woodcock.
Yes, he had a question about having some sort of an executive session of the Public Works Committee, and regardless of what Robert's rules say, our meetings are all governed by the Tennessee Open Meetings Law. So you can't have such a meeting as that, Chairman Skidmore. You can call a meeting, though. You can call a special meeting. If you wanted to have a meeting a week from tonight, for example, to deal with nothing but garbage, you can certainly do that. But it would have to be a public meeting, but I think you'd probably want it to be a public meeting so people can come forward with their information.
Yeah, thank you, John. I appreciate that. I really didn't know, but then you hit me right on the head with the Opens Meetings Law, and that explained it completely for me. So I appreciate you give me a shout out with that. I appreciate it. But anyway, Peg, to answer Peg's question, I'm gonna look at my calendar and and talk to the other aldermen, and we may be able to schedule one maybe next week.
Alderman Woodcock, I know Chairman Skidmore mentioned you. Do you want to help him out here?
I was just saying, I've got some video footage from security cameras that would be great for your meeting. So whenever you do have it, make sure you let me know. And
I sure will. I sure will. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you very much.
Alderman Skidmore, anything else in your report?
No, sir. That's all at this point.
Okay. I've got a list that I've been able to get a hold of concerning the trash, and I'll get that to you as well. Thank you. Thank you for your report. Capital projects, Chairman Campbell.
Mayor.
Oh, Alderman Waters, something on Public Works?
Yes, sir. Don't treat me like this. Come on.
I didn't see your hand. I apologize.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'd certainly like to be a part of your meeting.
Okay.
Because I am really sick and tired of some of these streets that we're missing. And I too have photos I'd be glad to bring to your attention.
Okay.
But while we're talking about the Public Works meeting, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to kind of get off of the trash right quick.
All right.
And I want to ask Dave a question, then I want to come back to Alderman Skidmore and Marshall Boyd.
Mr. Waters,
Dave-
let's do this. Mr. Waters, let's do this. Since we're on Public Works Committee, if you want to go ahead and ask Alderman Skidmore a question, I think this would be the perfect time. Let's wait until our interim city administrator's report to ask him questions.
Okay, okay. Now I'm gonna have to wait till Dave makes his report and talk at that time, because it's all in one
Okay.
question, okay?
I will
Hey,
do- I
Mayor.
will do my best to recognize you, okay? Oh, Chairman Skidmore.
Yeah, just my comment to my my colleague in Ward 6, to you. Would it be appropriate, and it's up to you on how you want to rule on this. When he gets through speaking with Dave, if he remembers what he needs to come back to, or he wants to respond back to me, can he be allowed to do that?
I think we'd ask to happen is the interim city administrator to defer a question to you that you can answer better. than
Okay.
me.
Is that okay, Jim?
I think we may have lost Jim. Tina, did we lose? Alderman
No,
Carter?
I'm here. I'm
Okay.
still here.
Okay.
I'm debating on what Alderman Skidmore is saying. He's making a good point. I don't want to lose out on my two questions here.
I can promise you with 95% certainty, I will remember this and come back to you.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
All right, that
fine with
sounds
that.
good.
Don't stay
Thank you
tuned. Stay tuned, Mark, will you?
Yes, sir, I will. Thank you all. All right.
Chairman Skidmore, thank you. Chairman Campbell, Capital Projects Committee, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we had our Capital Projects Committee meeting this evening, 5 o'clock. We had a good discussion. We discussed the first item on the agenda was Mary's Magical Place and inline hockey. We had to discuss those at the same time because to work on Mary's Magical Place, we have to move inline hockey, and we're going to be moving that. It appears that it's going to be moved to Volunteer Park at Arrowhead. And we discussed the layout of the playing surfaces and things of this nature and the cost. And the committee voted to move that to the Finance Committee for their review. And we also discussed Fire Hall number 7. We've looked at several locations out there in Ward 6. The Durham Farm location, Durham Farms is giving the city 1.5 acres of land out there. We're going to pass on putting the Fire Hall there and move it to Volunteer Park at Arrowhead across from Knox Dawes Middle School. And we've got 2 options there, and it looks like option A is the one we're looking at, most likely. And had a good discussion with that one. We're also moving that one to the Finance Committee for their review. And then we got into our MPO projects, Walton Ferry Road and Old Chacal Island. State of Tennessee has put that on hold for the moment because of the right-of-way purchases. There's over 50 pieces of property that have to have right-of-way purchased. And then we also had the Saunders Ferry Greenway. We've just gotten back from the Corps of Engineers, the approval we needed to move forward with that project. And the Saunders Ferry Road local interchange connector, that is at TDOT right now for their approval. And here again, waiting on the state and other people to get back to us. And then Center Point Road at the Center Point Road in the 386 traffic light at the exit ramp there, that they're having a meeting Thursday at City Hall to discuss that particular red light, and it's moving forward. And the citywide traffic light synchronization again is being held up by the state of Tennessee reviewing that project, which is over 6 years old now, or 7 years old now. And they've gone back and said we had to get the easements, the right of ways corrected on property that's over 30 years of age. So we're in the process of doing that. And Rockland Road project has been kicked off down through there. So keep that in the queue for the MPO projects as well. And that is my report. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Campbell, hold on one second.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Waters, did you have a question?
Yes, sir. And I hope you don't put me off this time.
Well, I'll try not to. What you got, Mr. Waters?
Hey, Pat, thank you for the report, sir.
Yes,
Could
sir.
you give, I've got a call this past week about the abandoned bank. Can you give me some idea when we're going to demolish that bank and
Marshall gave us an update on that today.
Sir?
The state of Tennessee owns that property, and the state has held up on allowing us to demo that property. Marshall has requested that, and he's still pursuing the options on demoing that piece of property. But it's my understanding that it has been taken from the tax rolls, and the state of Tennessee owns that piece of property at this time. So Marshall, if you have anything you'd like to add to that, feel free to add to it.
You're correct, Pat. What the state has told me right now, it's planned to be in the project. And so, whenever the project begins, the state will include the demolition of that building within the project, and that's when that'll be torn down.
Okay, Marshall, do you think the project, as you say, will start this year or 21?
It's looking more like 21. Hopefully sometime in 21 the project will start, but again, I'm not gonna hold our breath.
So we won't do anything to the bank building until then.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Marshall. Thank you, Pat.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any other questions?
Alderman Waters, thank you. Chairman Campbell, thank you. Alderman Woodcock, Planning Commission.
We had a light agenda last week. We approved the final plats for section 33, 34, 35 in phase 4 of Durham Farms. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Woodcock. Mr. Waters, I still have your hand lit up and there's no way I'm going to move on without giving you the chance to ask a question.
Well, let me cut that hand off, okay?
Okay, thank you. City
I'm
Administrator, David
I'm
Lamar.
sorry. Just don't want you to forget me.
City Administrator Dave Lamar.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Got a fairly lengthy report. The different departments, just kind of run down through there and kind of give you guys an idea of what's going on. Fire department, of course, they're in the new station. They're helping out with a lot of citizens around town and different things. They help and attended the 2-year-old funeral of that boy that tragically shot himself. The fire department helped out with in covering different zones and things like that. ATV in the park, we had a couple of people go down in the heat, and the ATV being in the park is a tremendous asset. So fire department's doing their job. PD, they're also helping citizens. Got a lot of calls. The calls are down a bit this week. Domestics are down, which is good. They were skyrocketing through this COVID, but they are down this week, and police are doing a good job. And one of the questions that's come up, and Mickey and I had this conversation, I think the mayor asked me this the other day too, who is going to tell these people to put masks on and socially distance or whatever like that. And it came down from directive from County Mayor Holt, that the police department, sheriff's department, whoever the police agency is in that town, would ask the people to put masks on and or ask them to socially distance. And hopefully that would solve the problem. If it escalates into a situation, then the police will handle it from there. So Mickey and Mr. Jones and Command Hobbsmeyer doing a great job. And then those people working hard over there. Public Works, limbs, garbage, project, stormwater, paving list, emails flying around left and right about different things. Right now, Marshall and his staff got their hands full with all these different things. Hopefully we can get to the bottom of some of these issues and problems. Codes, really busy. Greg and his staff back there doing 60 to 100 inspections a day. People coming in there one right after the other. I talked to a gentleman today, said he's been living in Hendersonville for over 40 years. He's put more swimming pools in and done more electrical jobs in pools and outbuildings than he done in the 40 years he's been here. So Codes is busting it. IT, can't say enough. They're doing a great job, all these Zoom meetings. Appreciate Tina, Mary Beth, and that gang. Jason's worked hard to try to get the room set up if we ever go back. HR, doing a lot of online stuff with insurance, trying to get time and leave issues resolved, updating policies that have been in the city for 50 years. They're doing a really good job back there. Chris and his gang. Planning, I'm not really sure about Keith Free. We got his evaluation this week, so we're gonna have to come down hard on him. Now Keith's doing a great job back there. Timothy Grant and all the people and the ladies back there, they're working hard. A lot of things going on. Robert worked hard with his staff during the budget time, and now he's just trying to clean up the end of the year and the new year, so they're doing a good job. Parks, Andy and his staff, last 6 weekends have been phenomenal. I know they're very young with the CVB and the hotel motels and the restaurants. Thank the staff, park staff, for what's going on, because they're really local. I mean, just hitting it out of the park. That's a good expression for Andy. Just a lot of people from all over the country. I went down through the park before the 5 o'clock meeting, Andy, in the front parking lot, and I saw Wisconsin, Illinois, Ohio, Kentucky, Missouri. I mean, we got people from all over the country here this week for a national tournament, and so I appreciate what's going on there. Let's see. one of the things that the COVID-19 issues have caused, as you know, the numbers are ramping up daily. We've got some people still working from home. We've got some people coming in every other day. We got split crews and things like that. So we're still dealing with issues. The staff's been phenomenal because you guys aren't getting, I mean, we get a few complaints, but look at the amount of the citizens and what's going on. The city and the city staff is doing a great job keeping up with, even if they're working from home or they're working split crews and things like that, they're doing a great job doing what they're supposed to be doing, even if they're, like I say, working from home and doing these Zoom meetings. We have a staff meeting every day, 2 o'clock, with anywhere between 15 and 32 people, with all department heads and second and third line people. We're keeping up daily with what's going on in the city, what's going on in the department, what they need help with, what's going good, what's going bad. So every day, 2 o'clock, the staff meets and we discuss what's going on for the day or what's happened the day before. So last thing is, and I'll need a little bit of assistance from Chris. We're going a little different direction on the interviews for the city administrators. The COVID jumped up 3,300 yesterday, jumped up 1,600 today. Sumner County was at 100 both days. There have been some more deaths. And Gary Jekyll and Chris and I yesterday afternoon thought it might be better. We have some aldermen that would rather not attend an in-person meeting. We put the aldermen, we put the department heads, we put the newspaper people in the candidates in that room in there. May not be a good situation. So we decided to go another direction with the candidates for Thursday. They are still coming in Thursday. So Chris, I'm gonna kind of let you hit the high points of what you had planned on doing.
Yeah, Dave. Dave, can you hear me? Hear me, Dave?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we've reached out, we've contacted the 2 city administrator candidates, expressed the concerns and the numbers rising in Tennessee, and told them we obviously want to do the responsible thing in terms of keeping everyone safe. I'm not sure what their personal situations are like, haven't really got into that, but we obviously want to keep their best interest at heart as well with these interviews. So long story short, they were both planning on visiting here later this week anyways. We have invited them to continue to come. Dave and I are going to spend some time with them on Thursday morning and Thursday late morning. Spend some time with them, showing them around our town, introducing them to some key city staff, some department heads, showing off maybe the new fire hall, and then just kind of driving them around town, answering some questions and things like that. One of the things we could probably use the alderman's help with on Thursday is I think we're going to try to pencil in a kind of an informal meet and greet. Basically, we're going to try to separate the 2 candidates, maybe put one in the main meeting room, one in Dave's office, and basically let the alderman come in from 2:30 to 4:30. There probably will be some more formal information coming out on that tomorrow. So any alderman that would like to, anybody of the board of mayor and alderman that would want to pop in and basically meet these 2 candidates in person, wear a mask, pop in, talk to them for a few minutes, be respectful that we have 13 mayor and aldermen. Everybody may want an opportunity to speak with these 2 candidates and kind of get to know them while they're here. We are going to reach out to them, since this decision was kind of made last minute this week, reach out to them and see if we can find a time for them to basically give us a couple of days next week that we can try to coordinate some type of virtual interview with them. So the interviews are still going to happen, but we're obviously too concerned with the numbers spiking and getting everybody in a room together and not knowing everybody's personal situations, that we've decided to do that via Zoom, which we've told both candidates since day one that we're going to keep an eye on this, as we go. So Dave, does that kind of hit the highlights, what you were kind of looking for from me?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. We're going to try to show them around town, show them the different things, show them what's going on in each end of town, Indian Lake and the streets and things like that, and then City Hall and so on, and meet the department heads and get them here so they can just kind of see the city, meet the department heads, meet the aldermen in the afternoon, just chat for a few minutes. And that way, when we have a Zoom meeting, an interview with them next week, you'll have a better feel for the candidates. One of the things that we did when we've interviewed these 2 people 3 times, and just after the first time that we interviewed with them was kind of touch and go because we didn't know them and they didn't know us. And so, but the second time, that we did the Zoom interview. It was comfortable. It's like talking to the alderman or you guys talking to me. It's a little more comfortable. You know who you're talking to and who you're dealing with. So we felt this would be a good alternative under the situation with everything that's going on. So other than that, like I said, we got a lot of good things going on, and the staff's doing a good job. And a lot of people, give me some credit for certain things, but you can't have the city running like it's running without good department heads doing what they're doing. So I think Mr. Waters got a question for me. If he like to entertain, I don't want to forget you, Mr. Waters.
Yeah,
Ready. I'm ready. You ready, Mayor?
Go ahead. Absolutely.
I got my hand up.
Go ahead.
First, Dave, following up on the candidates you got coming in. I've noticed we've had about 4 that's canceled out for certain reasons. I don't know. It's none of my business why, but do we have to have a quorum to meet with these people? It's a public meeting, isn't it?
Right. Well, we're not going to vote on anything on Thursday night.
I realize that. It's a public meeting to meet with these people.
No, sir. That meeting got canceled because we don't have a quorum.
That's what I just asked you.
But we don't have a quorum. The mayor sent an agenda out for Thursday night, and we didn't have enough aldermen to respond yes that they would be there.
Oh, I don't have that message. That's the reason I was asking you. You say it is going out today? Or it went out today?
Sure, it already went out. That Kate sent that out yesterday afternoon.
Okay, that's nobody loves me at City Hall. That's okay.
That came out of the mayor's office, Mr. Waters.
I can do that. Let me switch here. And Dave or Mr. Chairman, if I'm out of line, you holler at me right quick, because I want to talk to Dave as well as the Public Works Director and Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Dave, I'm looking at your email I received today. Now I'm sure you're aware of what I'm fixing to say. You sent out a memo to Marshall and Trace, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, just part of it. Since paving will be a political football for this year's election, I need both of you guys to today to give me the priority on paving. Now, go ahead and explain what you mean by a political football for this year's election.
Mr. Waters, that's exactly what it is. The paving, we put money in the budget to pave, and everybody wants their streets paved. And being an election year, they're going to want streets paved in their ward, rightfully so. And we only have enough money to pave certain roads, and so we're going to have to decide what's a priority. And so every alderman can't promise the $2 million will be spent in their ward for paving. We're going to have to share the love here and share the paving.
Well, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but you only got 6 running, and you have 6 not running. So they're just as important. The ones that's not running, they're just important to get their streets paved as we are. Okay.
Never said they weren't important, Mr. Waters.
Pardon me?
I never said they weren't important.
I know what you said, Dave. Okay. Now, let me read a bit more. I appreciate it. And just maybe this will cut down on speculation. What do you mean by that?
Cut down on what roads will get paved, what roads won't. Making promises of paving things that maybe aren't on the list, aren't high on the list, on a priority on the list. And so we'll cut down on speculation on which road is which, and let the Public Works and the Public Works Committee decide what the priorities are and what the listings are, and go by that. And it'll cut down on anybody saying, well, I think they're going to pave that road over there. Well, we don't know unless Marshall and Gang are going to pave it.
Okay, Dave, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to talk to Alderman Skidmore and Marshall, if I may.
Well, I absolutely promise that would be okay.
I can do that. This goes to both of you, Marshall and Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, sir.
As you recall, I was on the Public Works Committee for a couple of terms.
And you did a fine job.
Well, thank you. Now, I didn't mean you to say that, but appreciate it. Say it louder. I didn't hear you say that. But anyway.
You did a good job. You did.
I enjoyed with you and Pat Campbell. You know, we worked hard. The committee worked hard.
Yes, sir.
To get the pavement management program approved and voted on, right?
Yes, sir, we did.
Okay. I think was that a 5-year program? I think 2017 is when it was enacted.
Yes, sir. It was a 5-year program.
Okay. All right. As I look at page of their on their report, I ran it up today, and page 8 and 9 drew my attention. And referring back to what Dave just said about priority, will you or Marshall, either one, tell me what an election has got to do with paving? If we're going to pay this company for this survey, and I've got it right here in front of me, and it lists priorities, if he wants to use that word, it goes there. I've got 2 subdivisions in Ward 6. Glen Oaks subdivision, Alexander Place. According to the chart here, the paving condition that they have wrote and put out when they did their survey, both these subdivisions are rated in the 40 to 41, which is very poor or poor. Now, I was over there in Alexander Place today, and I asked you to go and look at those roads. It's pitiful. They have not been touched in Alexander Place or Glen Oaks in 10, 15, 20 years. Now, if Dave wants to talk about priority, and he's talking about speculation, I want the Public Works Committee to start looking at those 2 subdivisions ASAP, because excuse me, if we paid the money for this report in 2017, and if we're not going to live up to it, we just threw money out the window. Now, their report is right here in black, blue, and orange, and it lists the streets and everything. So I'd love to get with you and Pat and talk about this, and even my cohort, Eddie Robson, because these 2 subdivisions are in terrible shape, Glen Oaks and Alexander Place. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jim. Alderman Waters. I know that Alderman Campbell probably wants to speak to this issue too. As you will recall, we really did. The historical value is in Hendersonville, roads have always been a political issue. No doubt about that. I don't know of any alderman or any person could tell you would ever disagree with that question. And what we tried to do with that program came in, we wanted to take the politics out of the paving part of.
That's right. That's right.
Here in Hendersonville.
You're right.
Well, we're still trying this day to do that. I don't know whether I think it's too early to tell whether we've been successful doing that. I know that the committee has tried. We've done a good job. We've resurfaced a lot of roads and it's not us, it's all of us collectively. It's this whole board that we're all serving on. All 13 of us have been very good at getting roads and giving the Public Works Department the money to provide to do these roads, and we appreciate that genuinely. Every single alderman that sits on that board right now, I thank them. I thank them every budget we've had, when they were able to give us money.
Well, Mark, I appreciate you, and I appreciate Pat. I've been through that. I know what it's like, but
yes,
let's don't fool ourselves. And when Dave's memo states this year's election, that blew my mind, because that takes away everything that we worked for 5-6 years ago when we came up with this program. And I hear these people, they call me every week about their streets. So I think I'm sharing some things that it's really getting next to me. And I know my friend Daryl, he's got the same problem I have, that it's not about election. It's about priority, if they want to use that word. Okay. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, I would just say, I think I understand what Dave is saying, you know, and then I think Alderman Campbell wants to say something, Mayor, after me. But I understand what Dave is trying to do. He's just trying to keep it, and the old saying that we used to talk like this, but I don't talk like this anymore, but just keeping it real in the city, and that everybody's entitled, whether they're running or not, to have their road resurfaced. And I agree with that.
That's right.
And I do. And I will try, you know, and I will try, the committee will try their best to keep that. And Dave, if I'm right, you know, let me know, but if I'm not trying to speak for you. But I think Dave's point's well taken. But Mayor, I think that Alderman Campbell, our Vice Chairman of Public Works, wanted to say something.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We need to keep this we need to keep this the report of the city administrator. So we've got some questions for him. I get that, but it shouldn't be just a long, an open-ended discussion right now.
We just had to go to the paving, what we're talking about.
We just did that.
Alderman Campbell, do you want to address Mr. Lamar's report?
Yes, sir. We're talking about the PCI and the paving study and non-political. That's exactly why we put it in place, was to do the study, spent the money, was to go out and have an outside engineering firm come in and rate all the streets and tell us, hey, you need to do these roads here first and write them down the list. Now then, after we had our previous election and some things changed at City Hall, and our former Public Works Director left, and our interim Public Works Director took his seat, working with the new mayor, working with Trace, they populated a new list of roads and priorities, trying to get them closer together versus put a shotgun across the city, you know, like one over here at Glen Oaks and one over on Indian Lake and one down Walton Ferry and one over on, say, off Rockland Road. I mean, I'm just giving some ideas. So they wanted to populate an area, so we're going to schedule, say, Old Shackle Island like we just did recently, or go into down there off of Indian Lake. I know they did some roads down there. And that's what happened. The list sort of took a back seat to the list did take a back seat. The list was just put on a shelf. It's great to think about. It's sitting there. We'll get back to it some other day. But what happened was people following the mayor's orders, basically. They said, hey, we're going to work here. And that's what we did. And the reason why Indian Lake Boulevard over in the area was paved was because people were sure that the money was going to be coming in from Anderson Park. Even though it had never been voted on, they felt confident that Anderson Park was going to come along and have $700,000 to put back into supplemental paving to cover the cost of Indian Lake Boulevard being paved, because it was in bad shape, and it is the premier road of Hendersonville coming into our city now. When you come in off of 386 going to the ballpark, or just going into the area of our retail shops. So that's why that happened. And I can continue on if you'd like, but that's
again, this needs to be the report from the interim city administrator.
Sure, and it's all about, and it was political. That's what happened to it. It became a political hot potato again when we tried to take it away from it.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Pat.
Alderman Robertson, a question for our city administrator.
Yes, thank you, Dave. I have a couple of questions about the process that we are intending to do on the interviews for the CA.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I want to ask for my own understanding, because I know that you and the staff are much closer to the situation than I am. Does anything that the governor has passed in an executive order or the county executive prohibit BOMA from meeting in public?
No, sir.
Second question, do you believe, with the staff's assistance, that the room can be set up in compliance with all of the safety mandates ordered by the county executive and the governor of the state of Tennessee?
Yes, sir.
So I have two questions then based on that. That's my understanding as well in looking at the orders. First of all, I don't agree with the statement that I think Chris stated that the interviews with the CA are going to be virtual. To me, this is one of the most important personnel decisions that this board will make. And while I understand that some board members may not wish to meet in public, those that do and will follow the guidelines, I hope that this board can make a statement that those that want to will meet the CA candidates and listen to the interviews in person instead of virtual.
Amen.
So and it's my understanding that I believe the general committee is going to meet with Gary Jekyll and come up with some suggestions for this. Now, I don't know if you've already done that, Chairman Sprouse, but while I appreciate the staff's recommendation, I believe that the decision on whether we meet in person to interview the CA candidates should be this board's decision and not the staff's. So with all due respect, Dave, I disagree with the staff's decision that we're going to meet virtually on the interviews. Then the last question that I have, and maybe this is a question for the CA and also for the mayor, the July 28th meeting, are we going to meet virtually or in person for the July 28th meeting? Has that decision been made?
Alderman Robertson, that's going to be my decision. Probably what I'll do is send out an email probably a week ahead of time to see how everybody's comfort level in that. I've done that a couple other times to gauge everybody's comfort level, and I'll probably do that again. So I can't answer quite yet.
So Dave, you might want to respond to my questions. I just believe this is an important enough decision. I'll wear a mask. You said you can have the room safe for us. I want to come and do the interviews in person. I want to look at the eyes of both of the CA candidates as they answer the questions. And I guess I'm kind of zoomed out on these meetings right now.
Okay. Mr. Robeson and board, I'm gonna give you the truth, and you're not gonna like it. But since I'm interim and you don't have to look at me until we hire somebody new, I can probably get some of the board members to confirm what I'm about to tell you. Mr. Jekyll and I met with the mayor yesterday and asked him not to send out the agenda that he was going to send out for the questions for the candidates, the questions he was going to ask, citizens' comments, open mic, hire a city administrator, do a contract, and things like that were not things that should have been done in an interview process. The only thing we wanted to do was interview the candidates. And when the mayor sent out his agenda, which you all saw, you saw the 5 or 6 things that he had. Mr. Jekyll from MTAS and myself met with the mayor, asked him as professionally as we could not to send that agenda out, just to do the interviews, and he refused. We had no option but to cancel, or all the aldermen sitting in this meeting right here, looking at me, talking. Okay, I guarantee you there's 7 or 8, 9 of them sitting here that didn't want to meet for that reason. It was the agenda that caused this thing to be derailed. Okay, the COVID was a good reason for us to go ahead and not meet in the room. But when the mayor refused to do what Mr. Jekyll asked him to do and the committee asked him to do, we had no choice. So if you want to blame someone, Mr. Robeson, for what happened, you can go all the way to the top to the CEO and the mayor, and you can blame him, because I'm not taking the heat for that one.
Well, and I guess I'm just asking the question because you said that the meeting Thursday night has been canceled, and that's fine with me. But
I'm trying to be professional. Okay, I'm not throwing the mayor under the bus, but he's throwing me under the whole week. So you know what? That's fine. He's the one that caused this meeting to be canceled, and the candidates. He was there to sabotage the whole process like he's done before. So that's the whole deal. I'm telling you the truth. And if you don't like hearing the truth sometimes, I know it hurts. So if the other aldermen want to jump in, y'all can.
Well, I'm not finished yet.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Alderman Robertson.
So I don't know all of the machinations that have gone on, Dave. All I know is that we were told next week we were going to do virtual interviews with the CA. And my point is, I don't want to do a virtual interview. I would like to do one in person.
I do too, 100%. I agree with you. But the mayor did not want us to set his agenda. He wanted to set it and control the mic. And that's the bottom line. So I can't help you there, Mr. Robertson. I'm doing the best I can. I need support from the board.
Alderman Robertson, anything else?
Not at this time.
Okay, I appreciate that. Alderman Sprouse.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I don't know of anything. General has not had any discussions. I have not had any discussions about a general meeting or what our involvement would be in the next step of the process. Now, Dave, I did hear that we were going to have the ability for a meet and greet, open house, one-on-one on Thursday. And anybody who's a city employee, particularly a department head or a city administrator, is going to be interacting with the board in two ways. They're going to be interacting as a group with us corporately. And that's one way to have the interview. And I think Zoom's appropriate for that. They're going to be interviewing, and they're also going to be interacting with us one-on-one. And I think the way it's set up is going to help very well with that to give us the ability to work. And I will tell you, and Dave's known that we've had these conversations, I'm ready for City Hall to go back to the way that it was and employees go home and have limited hours, because the numbers in Sumner County and in Hendersonville are worse than they were when we went to hours and sent employees home and had them work remotely. And we can't pretend like things are better than they are now just because we're tired of the situations and having to deal with the remedy. I know a lot, some of us are older, some of us have higher risk factors. Some of us care and spend time with older parents or other family members who are the same way. And most important, and just as importantly, I think the city has to make good decisions to model decisions that other people in the community need to make. And it's frustrating with the Zoom meetings. That wasn't the reason I raised my hand, Dave. I have a question for you, a more practical question. Change the subject just a little bit. And we may need some advice from the fire chief, because I'm pretty sure a birthday cake with 86 candles needs some sort of burn permit. But did you know today was Mr. Waters' birthday? I'm just trying to find an appropriate way to
Happy birthday, Jim.
Give everyone an opportunity to wish Mr. Waters a very happy birthday and for performing his civic duties on such a special personal day. Thank you.
Should we sing to him?
Alderman Sprouse, thank you. I don't think anybody wants to hear us sing.
Happy birthday.
Alderman Woodcock.
Let's sing.
Alderman
John, you
Woodcock,
can sing.
go ahead.
So I've got a question about different topics, but the most recent one was the CA meeting on the 16th. So am I understanding correctly that some of the aldermen, including the interim CA, had issues with the 6 items that the mayor presented? Is that what you said, Dave?
Gary, exactly what I did from the get-go.
Right. Okay. So instead of meeting and maybe altering the agenda, we just decided not to meet at all.
Well, I didn't, when Kay sent the notice out for the meeting and they responded, that's out of my control.
All right, so we didn't have a quorum, so that went away. So that's that meeting we were supposed to have. Are we going to continue to try to have that meeting, or are you saying these informal meetings are going to be it, and then we'll offer a position to one of them and be done?
Well, if I had to do over again, I would have called a workshop and not asked the mayor to call a special meeting. I thought he would cooperate, but I should have known better. Next time, I'll go ahead and just call a meeting workshop like we did before. And so I don't have to go through the other stuff. Hey, Daryl, trust me, I'm frustrated too. Okay, if you're frustrated, I am too.
I get that, but like, people should be able to watch this meeting and not know that you and Jamie hate each other. Like, we should be able to get through this.
I do not hate Dave.
Going back and forth. So, John, you're shaking your head. Do you have something to say about the meeting that was postponed or delayed?
Go ahead, John.
The only thing I was going to say is that the way it worked out, because there was not going to be a quorum for the special meeting, the city administrator decided that maybe to try to make the best of a bad situation, because the 2 candidates were coming anyway. And it's my understanding that he is going to try to schedule times for each member of this board to meet with those candidates on Thursday afternoon, both candidates, 10, 15, 20 minutes each, whatever is necessary, so that you can get to know them a little bit. And then, as he explained it to me, his plan is if we have to do a Zoom meeting next week, we can. And if we can find a safe way to do it in person, like Dr. Robertson suggested, we'll do it in person. But we're going to try to have a meeting next week with an actual interview. This week is just going to be sort of an opportunity to get to know them. That's all that's going to happen on Thursday, as I understand it. Mr. Lamar, you can jump in there if you disagree with what I've said.
Oh, hold on, let's go back to Alderman Woodcock. So any other questions for Mr. Bradley?
Well, I would like to know if Dave agrees with that, just make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay.
I would love to interview the candidates face to face, and I wish we could have made that happen. But the questions on the agenda were not appropriate. And Mr. Jekyll's been doing this for over 20 years, and he requested that we not do those things on that agenda, and it didn't happen.
Is that the 6 things like comments from the public, discuss candidates?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the group text from yesterday, the day before, that was about this meeting, it was a 629 number. Was that you, Dave?
No, sir.
All right. It was not a 615 number, so it kind of threw me. Second question, the paving list we were talking about. And I think it was Mark who said it'd be great to know, kind of review it and see how well we've done to keep politics out of it. I think the easiest thing would be to start at the worst road, the first page of that list, and see how many of the worst roads we've paved in the last 5 years. If it's all over the place and we haven't really touched the worst roads, then I think that would be a good indicator that politics have remained in this. I will be the first one to say that I was all for the list. I still am. I think it's a great tool, but it was not perfect by any means. Ward 5 had a road that was like a horseshoe with a stop sign in the middle. And instead of that being graded as one road, it was graded as 2. And one half was worse than the other. So only half the road got paved. So at the end of the day, we still had a mad subdivision because half the road sucked. So I agree that the staff should go in and tweak that list, but I would hope we would start at the worst road on that list and make common sense decisions and move our way down that list, regardless of what ward is being represented. I don't even think it should be spread across all 6 wards. I think we should literally start at the worst road and work down, common sense wise. If Ward 5 misses out sometimes, sorry, but sometimes it'll be Ward 1. It'll be even when all the roads are paved nice. But I would ask for that when you guys meet. Tell me which roads have actually been paved, starting with the worst road going down. Other than that, that's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Woodcock, thank you. Alderman Bolt.
Yeah, in regards to what Alderman Woodcock just said on the roads, I don't disagree with that at all, but I'm not knowledgeable enough to say regarding that. So I think when I've talked to Trace before, there are certain thoroughfares that need to be done before we get to some of the, side roads or neighborhood roads. So maybe in conjunction as a team, we can come up with some sort of a plan while keeping in mind with what you just said, because it should be that simple. But obviously it hasn't been followed for the last several years, and that's why the situation we're in. Regarding Alderman Roberson's comments about meeting in person, I'm fine with that. I don't want the candidates to have to run around and come back and all that kind of stuff. I think there's consensus here that in an interview process, you just do an interview. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And that's what we were going to do. So we have 2 candidates. We're going to interview them. That should be all that's in the meeting. That's pretty obvious. Our consultants stay the same. So if there's some way that we can create a meeting where we agree on that, because what we're always trying to do is create consensus. Government is about negotiation, compromise, and consensus building. So here's an opportunity to do just that. It fell apart, but maybe we can put that back together. Maybe there's also some opportunity. I like the idea of a meeting for 10 minutes here and there with the candidates, just to kind of get to know them. Maybe there's an opportunity too for Alderman Roberson or some others that want to spend a little extra time with them, if there's time permitting, whether it's this time or next time, if there is a next time. That they're able to communicate with that candidate and be able to spend a few extra minutes or half an hour or whatever it is they want to do. I don't think that's outside John, you could answer this question, and if Gary was on here, he could too, even Chris, but that's not outside, maybe some normal practices. So, we all want to get the right candidate. There's no question about it. It just got, sidelined, unfortunately. Thank you.
If I can speak to that, Mayor, just very briefly.
Hold on
The
one second.
idea of talking
Hold on one
to
second, John, hold on one second. Andy, did you have any questions for Dave, for Mr. Lar?
No, I'd like to hear what Chris has to say, though.
Okay, well, okay. Dave, do you want to address that, or do you want John or Chris to do it? Your choice.
I've had my say. I'd like for Chris or John to go ahead and John, go ahead.
But what I was going to say was, based on what Mr. Bolt was saying, was certainly there's no problem with individual aldermen meeting with these candidates. The issue we come up with is the sunshine law, which is when groups of aldermen are meeting with them. When the whole group is assembled, it has to be a public meeting. Right. We don't have that constraint when people meet one-on-one with them. So that was what I was trying to say a while ago, was something that may be a good byproduct of not having interviews on Thursday. At least people will get a chance to meet with them and get to know them before the actual interview. That's all, because you don't have the sunshine law problems with individual meetings. That's all I was trying to say. Thank you.
Okay. Dave, do you want to answer anything else, or from Chris?
If Chris had anything he wanted to weigh in on the agenda, and the reason for that, if he doesn't, I understand. But
all I'm going to say is I think this is a completely reasonable plan, considering the pandemic. Robert sent out some information to me and Dave earlier that said on July the 14th, we have gotten more cases in July through 14 days than we had in March, April, and May combined. I don't have all the right answers for this. Clearly, neither does Dave. We're doing the best we can. We certainly would appreciate the board support, and we certainly do not want to jerk around these candidates who are traveling halfway across the country to try to accommodate ourselves, considering we don't know what their personal situations are either. That's about all I've got to say, Dave. I certainly appreciate your support and all the hard work that's gone into this.
Chris, thank you. Alderman Edwards.
Okay, yeah, thank you. This question is for Dave, Chris, or even John Bradley. What would y'all think about having 2 or 3 aldermen meet with the candidates at a time on Thursday, so that these candidates aren't doing 13 different interviews? I know that's kind of cumbersome, and that may come down to a sunshine violation, but can we look at it as we're just trying to gather information and not deliberating? I'm just trying to streamline this, because if somebody has 10 minutes, it never goes 10 minutes. I mean, that'll probably be 20 minutes per candidate, and I don't think that's a lot to ask for these candidates. I didn't know what y'all's thoughts on that are, and I don't, if you don't want to answer right now, it's just something to think about.
Russ, that's a great question, because I would entertain the idea of back and punting and doing something similar to that on Thursday when they're here. If that would, I don't know, John, you're gonna have to do, let's just say 3 people, every 15 minutes, 3 or 4 people were to just ask them some questions, or Gary would ask them some questions while they were here. You tell me.
Well, the whole problem is so long as as long as the aldermen aren't discussing or deliberating or deciding amongst themselves, as long it's sort of like our executive sessions. If the questions are just directed to the candidates and not to each other, I don't think that would necessarily be a problem with the sunshine law. Obviously, the smaller the group, the better. But I can see how it would streamline it, as Mr. Edwards said, to have, instead of having one, to maybe have 2 or 3 at a time. It might move things along quicker. As long as they're not deliberating or deciding, that's the definition of the sunshine law that brings that into play. So I think that could work as long as we're careful with it.
Well, one of the things that we're not going to decide, and we're not going to offer them a job. We don't have a contract yet. So we're not going to be deciding on which one of the 2 candidates that day would be decided. So I would think that we might be able to make that work Thursday, and kind of back up again and punt, and have the candidates go in and talk to each one of them 3 at a time or 4 at a time, and ask them questions from Gary Jekyll. And that might entertain some better communication with them. But I just can't see this thing turning into a circus with people making comments and the citizens asking questions. It just, that was an absolute that's not gonna happen. I just, we're not gonna embarrass those people when they bring them in here.
Well, I agree, and I appreciate all your work on this, and I really hope that we can all hold it together until we hire the next city administrator. And I just really hope the candidates aren't watching this meeting tonight, but okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Alderman Edwards. Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. This is for Dave. As far as the interview process, to keep it as professional as possible and not make it into a three-ring circus and not sabotage the process. I think if the process is done correctly, just like a business environment, we should be able to have good success. And I think that having like maybe 2 aldermen at a time on Thursday might be a good solution. As long as, like you said, those questions, like Councilor Bradley said, as long as those questions are directed directly to the candidate and not to each other for deliberation. So I think that's a really good solution. And then were you thinking of having a workshop next Tuesday for all of us to participate in?
Well, if we were to do a Zoom, yes.
On a Zoom?
We could.
Okay, like a workshop, right?
This Thursday, with 2 or 3 aldermen in there at a time. We could readjust our schedule. Chris and I get together tomorrow. We can readjust the schedule a little bit. If that's a request of the board, if that's your wishes, to meet with them 2 or 3 at a time and get with Gary Jekyll and, 3 or 4 could meet with one candidate, 3 or 4 could meet with another one, ask questions, if we could swap the room with different people. And kind of get some idea. I'm open for that. I just wasn't open to turning this thing into something it shouldn't be turned into.
No, I agree. If we keep it professional and above board and in a business setting, not a free for all 3-ring circus.
Well,
I think we're going to be in good shape.
Okay,
And just have our mindset in a professional environment. I would support that 100%. Thank you.
Alderman Cunningham, thank you. Alderman Robertson.
Dave, I didn't bring up that question in order to criticize the way you're handling this. I just would like to meet in person. I think the suggestions that have come forward tonight are good ones. You mentioned that you would like to do a workshop. I'm in favor of a workshop if that will make the process go smoother. I don't want this to turn into a circus either. And whatever attempts to do that, I will not support. I want it to go professionally. So if we can do a workshop, if that's your recommendation and Mr. Bradley's, to make this go smoother, or some mechanism that we can meet with the CAs, that'll satisfy me. I've submitted my questions to Gary Jekyll already, and he's already responded. I think he's going to ask my questions. So I'm just a person-to-person person. I guess I just wanted to meet in person, but I do not want this to get out of hand. I personally do not feel that in an interview process, it's appropriate for public comments. And I know that some may disagree with me about that, but we're the elected representatives of the people, and we can ask the questions, for our citizens. And so I just wanted to make that statement, that my intent here was not to stir up any dispute or confusion or problem between you and the mayor. Thank you.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with Alderman Robertson. I've agreed with that all along, and I think a workshop setting is the best. I think one centralized person, Mr. Jekyll, asking questions is the best. We all had time to submit those questions. I'm still fine with that, in that exactly how it was set up before. I am not fine with the agenda that you sent out, Mayor. I told you that in an email response. Mr. Lamar asked a while ago if there was some alternate. I responded that I wasn't comfortable with that and I would not attend that meeting. I also don't think that getting a bunch of people in a room right now is, with the numbers going up, is something I want to do. I will get a minimal amount of people, 13 and a couple candidates that were spread out very well. I'm still okay with that. But I want to follow the guidelines as close as we can. And I think we have to do that to set the right example for the city. It's a difficult time of knowing exactly what to do, when to do it, or how to do it. We've never done this before. None of us lived in 1918. We didn't have virtual stuff in 1918, so we couldn't even consider that when that pandemic hit. So I'm still good with the workshop if it's set up the way it should be. Mr. Jake will ask the questions. I'm like Mr. Edwards. I would imagine the candidates, if they probably are watching this. So hopefully they'll just realize that there's a little discourse among the troops, and that's all, and we'll get it figured out. So that's my opinion. I would like to go on with the meeting of. We're still in report process, and I think we pretty well beat this horse as hard as we need to beat it. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Alderman Brown, thank you. Alderman Sprouse.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know, Dave, thank you for putting together the process in the middle part. I think it was mentioned before about not having public comment. I agree completely that we do in a workshop standpoint, but I don't want anyone to take away the message that the public will not have the opportunity to comment, because regardless of what the steps are in the middle of the process, the last step of the process will be a formal vote by the board or mayor and alderman in a business meeting. And every one of our business meetings that we have, our regular meetings, have citizens' comments. So anyone who would like to give comment, public, will have the ability to give comment at the very night prior to us voting on the issue. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I'm going to come to Mr. Waters in just a second. Dave, one question I didn't quite understand the answer to. Alderman Woodcock asked you if any aldermen were involved in the decision to cancel the meeting.
No. In fact, one of the things Gary Jekyll asked me, because he saw the email, and that number was the city phone, Mr. Woodcock. When I responded, Gary asked me not to do anything at this point because those questions were not viable questions on the agenda. So he wanted to make sure we try. That's the reason we met with the mayor yesterday, so that we could try to get those off of the agenda before anybody answered what they were going to come and not come. Okay.
Hold on. That 629 number you were answered earlier. That's not your number.
I said I looked at. I didn't know what it was because I don't use it much.
You did. So you told Alderman Woodcock that's not your number a little while ago. Now you're saying it is your number.
Yeah, I mean I'm not infallible. I make mistakes. I didn't know that was a number because it's a 629 number. I don't have very many people call me on that phone, and that was the phone that one of the aldermen sent me a text on, and I just responded. Don't do anything till we talk to Gary because we needed to get those items other than the interview question off of the agenda. So that was.
Is that a city provided phone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate that. Mr. Waters. Jim, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. You're good.
Well, somebody turned me off. And I don't blame them. I like what my colleague Alderman Robertson has been saying, and I agree with him 100%. But the things that the mayor sent out that we keep referring to, and I guess Dave can answer this, Mayor, or you can. What's in those 4 or 5 things that you said that MTAS didn't like? Who wants to answer that, Dave or the mayor, either one?
Go ahead.
Well, the purpose of the people coming in, Mr. Waters, was to do an interview. Period. Okay, it wasn't to hire them. It wasn't to have citizens' comments. It wasn't to offer them a job or set a contract or set their pay or anything. The only reason the people were coming in for the 16th was for interview purposes only, and Gary Jekyll was going to be the moderator. That was the only thing that we requested, and the mayor sent that agenda out and would not remove those other items.
Okay,
Is there
if I could.
Is anything, excuse me, is there anything that the mayor sent out, Dave, that is a violation of the Sunshine Law?
I don't think so. I mean, John can answer that one.
Okay, I'm asking you, you say you don't think so.
I don't, I mean,
But,
I didn't.
You know, excuse me. You just said it was an interview. What is an interview if I can't ask you questions that I want answers to? That's an interview. Okay. I'm not here to ask you about your grandparents or your children. I'm here to ask you, you're applying for the job, okay? An interview is for me to find out what you think about my questions. Okay. And you're telling me I can't ask that question?
No, I'm telling you, the citizens can ask questions. And nothing to do with the alderman.
Pardon?
It had nothing to do with the alderman. The alderman will be able to ask questions. It was a citizen's comments offering one of the candidates a job. It was the other bullet points on that agenda.
Dave, I'm not talking about citizens' comments. I'm talking about an interview that I sat down and talked to you. You're the applicant, okay?
Sure.
And you're saying that MTAS says I can't use any of the questions that the mayor sent out. Why can't I?
No, he didn't. That's not what I said, Mr. Waters.
Pardon?
That's not what I said. That was the bullet points. The agenda that the mayor sent out was what we couldn't follow. The interview questions were fine. They were perfect. Had nothing to do with the interview questions. That's exactly why we were trying to meet. Was to interview the candidates, ask them questions, and if Mr. Jekyll asked a question about a project or something in their career, and you said you wanted to ask, say, well, how long did that project go on? You'd be able to do that, okay? That was the thing that we wanted to do the most, was just the interview questions. None of the other stuff that he had on the list.
Well, today's my birthday, and I think I'm old enough to say what I want to say to you and say to anybody that applies for a job. I don't need MTAS to tell me what to say, whether it's a particular question or whether it's something I want to hear. Now, Jekyll might not ask the questions that I want him to ask. He doesn't have to ask the questions that I want for some reason. You know, this ain't my first rodeo, and I don't appreciate somebody telling me what I can say, what I can't say when I interview a person for a job. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. A couple of things. Dave, I'm having a hard time understanding something. First, you told us that the interviews were canceled because of COVID-19. Then you revised that and said that it was because of the agenda I put together. First, you told us that 629 number wasn't yours. Then you revised that and you told us it was. You also didn't provide some of the information that I provided in our meeting yesterday. The main part of that information was that I agreed with Gary Jekyll that the citizen comments probably were not part of where we were at this point. And I told Gary that was not my idea.
Whose idea was it?
That idea came from board members more than a year ago. Some board members suggested, and I told you this yesterday, that some members suggested that if we have a city administrator, when we go through the hiring process of the city administrator, that the citizens should have a part
What
in
board members?
I believe Alderman Bolt said that citizens should have a say in that.
That's
and
a
I believe
lie.
that Alderman Brown said that as well. I'm not real
Alderman
sure
Bolt
about
said
that.
no. Alderman Brown said no.
I'm not real sure about that, so I have a hard time absolutely confirming that. But
We
there was
have a
something
regular occurrence of one or two
I'm
aldermen,
going to go ahead.
aldermen saying things.
Point of order. Point of order.
Here we
I'm
go.
going to go ahead and finish. I'm going to go ahead and finish my.
Here we go.
I'm going to go ahead and finish my comment. And that was something that I said yesterday in our meeting. Dave, I wish you would have brought that up, that it was not my idea to add comments from citizens. That was something that I told you yesterday that was somebody else's. And I told Gary, I don't disagree with you. I think it would also have been worthwhile had you mentioned to everybody that those 6 items were not have-tos. They were not mandatory. The board could have decided to not offer the job. They could have decided to limit the citizens' comments. They could have decided to remove those citizen comments. That's
Like a circus. Free-for-all circus. 3-ring circus.
You're part of it.
Yeah, right.
I also think that it's important to note that at this point, None of the aldermen who represent the citizens have had any say in this process. None of us.
Somebody
No,
else better.
no resident has had the opportunity to have a say in this process. We have 2 residents on the advisory committee. We don't know how those people were chosen. As I said, Alderman talked a year ago about allowing citizens to have a part of the process. So far, that hasn't happened. And I think that would have been worthwhile had you mentioned that we had that discussion yesterday in my office. I think it's also worthwhile to mention that it was your idea you brought to me that we have a special meeting. And I did exactly what you asked me to do.
The purposes of interviews
Let me
on.
finish this. Let me finish this. You brought that to me that we need to have a special meeting. And I provided that. Everything that was listed on that agenda were all just opportunities. None of them were mandatory. I didn't anticipate that we'd choose a candidate. I didn't anticipate that we would necessarily allow citizen comments or questions from everybody. I didn't anticipate a lot of what I put on the agenda, but I felt like it was necessary and it's worthwhile to give that opportunity to the aldermen if they wanted to. By 7 votes, this board could have removed those items from the agenda. There was no way to add items to the agenda under state law. Only thing the board could do would be remove items from the agenda. It would have been worthwhile had you mentioned that earlier. Alderman Sprouse.
Hey, Scott, can I say something first?
Well, no, let me just stop in for just a second. Dave, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for navigating the process. Thank you for keeping staff and board involved, updated on what's going on. This board does not make every decision. We've had conversations earlier with other committees and other issues where we said, well, this department head, we did it in committee. Can you go work on this and bring something back to us? Or
Right.
go figure this out and advise us on what the answer is. I am sick and tired of a group of people, a diverse group of people working on issues together, even when they have disagreements. And as we get close to there being some sort of resolution, all of a sudden it's like, I got receipts. I got receipts. I didn't say that. You said this. I didn't say this is what I said and this is what I did. This is not functional. And I know that by calling this out, people are going to say that we're picking on somebody. But what are we supposed to do when we hear collectively, regular basis, well, several aldermen have said this, or a couple of people have asked me about this, and none of us said these things. When people are saying, I think we need to move on. I think that the decisions that are being made are being made well. I don't think everything that's being done is exactly the way that I would do it, but it doesn't mean that the way it's being done is wrong. It means that it's a way that's working for a large group of people. And I'm very frustrated that so many people have put so much hard work into something and are legitimately asking folks to come to the table and to have input, and that doesn't happen. And then at the last minute, it's like all these questions and all these things. Only one member of this board has a full-time hour, a full-time office, and is paid $100,000 by the taxpayers to engage. Dave, if you still want to say something, say something. I know that people are going to say we're picking on it, but we are fighting a fire. And we don't need to put fuels on it. So, yeah, Mr. Hayes is right. Sabotage.
Constantly.
And it's very frustrating. Now, Dave, if you'd like to say something, feel free to, but I think that you've said enough and that you've done enough. And thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
The only thing that I want to say in rebuttal and in comment is that we, as professionally as we could, Terry, Jekyll, and I, requested the mayor to take those things off the agenda yesterday and send out a new agenda. He didn't do it. And, blaming Andy Bolt for saying something doesn't cut the mustard with me. We just wanted to do the interviews, whether it was a workshop, a board of men and aldermen, a special call meeting, a general committee meeting. It didn't make any difference. We needed to meet to interview these candidates, period. No other action was going to be taken. And that agenda that the mayor sent out was not going to let that happen. So the COVID thing was a really good reason to not put everybody in that room and potentially get somebody sick. But there were all the other underlying factors that went with it. So Mayor, Alderman, as you know, I'm doing the best job I can. I'm not going away. Okay, this doesn't scare me off. We're going to get the right person for the job. We're going to talk about this with Gary Jekyll tomorrow morning and see, and Mr. Bradley, and see if we can kind of back up a little bit for Thursday when these candidates come in here, and we can present Hendersonville as a good place to work and live. And hopefully they won't watch this meeting and won't see some of the antics that go on. Again, we've got a great staff and a great city. And I said, and I'm not giving up, okay? I'm not the kind of guy that's gonna throw the towel in. So if I'm not gonna be bullied, I'm not gonna be, if I can't change my mind, or if I can't, in the word of Darrell, when he asked me a question, I legitimately didn't know that phone number, that city phone that Mary Beth gave me 6 months ago was a 629 number, okay? And I came back and told you that I'm the one that sent the email out, okay? We all make mistakes, okay? And so I admitted that was a mistake that I made. And again, I'm trying to do the right thing for the city. Y'all want to get on board, that's great. We're going to keep moving forward best we can. And Mayor, that's the end of my report.
Dave, one more thing. I don't want to make an incorrect assumption here. You said I sabotaged the process. Do you consider me allowing the people the opportunity on the agenda to speak, even though the board could remove that item? Do you consider that the sabotage?
Why would we want citizens to speak, Mayor?
Yeah, it'll be your goons.
So is that what you meant by sabotaging the process? I was giving the opportunity for the board to listen to people.
No.
So what was the sabotage?
Leaving that on the agenda, knowing full well that the people, it's not a citizen's comment interview. When you do an interview, you don't have citizen comments.
You've been sabotaging this process for a year.
So I get you. So by putting that on the agenda, and let's just go on. Okay.
Yeah, you're not going to convince me, and I'm not going to convince you. We're good.
Well, you convinced me to hold a meeting, and I did that. So I think we're ready for ordinances and resolutions. First, we have second reading of ordinance 2020-19. This is an ordinance to amend all existing ordinances to conform more closely by substituting city administrator in place of the terms previously applicable to mayor. Alderman Sprouse.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second by Alderman Hayes. I see no hands to the right raised, and I see no hands in the boxes raised. All those in favor of second reading ordinance 2020-19, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
No.
That's 12 ayes, 1 nay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kay. That passes. Next, we have items B, D, E, F, and G. We can have discussion on these, but let me read them real quickly. First reading of ordinance 2020-22. This is an ordinance appropriating funds received for painting of fire department vehicle. Item D is resolution 2020-34. Authorizes the submittal of an application for community development block grant with an amended 2017 through 2021 consolidated plan and the 2020 through 2021 annual action plan. Resolution 2020-35, accepting the donation of 2 Segway 12S from the Hendersonville Citizen Police Academy Alumni Association. Resolution 2020-38, this is the resolution recognizing the anniversary of the American with Disabilities Act. And resolution 2020-41, a resolution authorizing the city of Hendersonville to contribute to certain nonprofit organizations by appropriations in the annual general fund operating budget. I need a motion.
Second.
moved.
We have a motion from Alderman Petrelli and a second from Alderman Edwards. Alderman Petrelli, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. If everybody can just check your emails, our ADA coordinator made a graphic that will be on the website celebrating the anniversary of the Americans with Disability Act, and everybody has that in their email box. Thanks so much.
I appreciate that, Alderman Petrelli. Alderman Edwards, you mentioned earlier you might want to speak on this. Go ahead.
Well, just briefly, I want to thank Rick and Jen Yamin, I think I'm pronouncing their names correctly, for bringing this to our attention. I would also like to thank Jonathan Hayes for spearheading this resolution. And I hope this does bring more attention to these wonderful organizations. And I'm speaking of the ADA anniversary resolution. So thank you very much.
Alderman Edwards, thank you. So again, we are going to vote. We're going to vote on these as a group. These are items B, D, E, F, and G. I see nobody else wishing to speak. Alderman Woodcock, I see. Alderman Woodcock, go ahead.
I feel like this is a perfect time to bring this up. 14 months ago, I requested some cutouts on 2 sidewalks in Savannah because there's no way for people in wheelchairs to cross the street.
Yeah.
They have to go all the way down the street. It's been 14 months. That still has not happened. So while we're celebrating ADA, it'd be great if people in wheelchairs could actually cross the street in my subdivision. So I'm happy to send that email again. I'm looking at 5 emails that I've sent. So let me know what I need to do. Thanks. Bye.
Alderman Woodcock, thank you. Alderman Petrelli, do I need to come back to you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Woodcock, as you know, the ADA board was reformed last year. Who did you send the emails to?
The first one was Mark, Trace. The other ones, pretty much at that point, just public works employees.
Okay. If you could forward the email to me, I will forward it to our ADA coordinator and copy Marshall on it. That way, to make sure it's on our list. It's going to take a while to move through these projects, just like road paving and stormwater management. It's a very lengthy list, but if you send that, I'll get it on the radar.
Just send it.
Thanks, sir.
Alderman Woodcock and Alderman Petrelli, thank you. Alderman Waters, were you trying to speak up?
No, thank you.
I don't want to run the risk of skipping you.
Thank you.
Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank the board for their support on the ADA. I think several members of this board have had life experiences with it, with family members, and you just don't know what it's like. What Alderman Woodcock brought up. You're in a wheelchair and you have this big curb to deal with, and there's no way to do it. Or you have your 15-year-old son and you have to go up a whole flight of steps, and he weighs 80 pounds at that point, and there's no elevator, there's no access. And it's just, I mean, I'm talking about some years ago, but you just stand there and just cry your eyes out. And it's just so needed in the community. I mean, I'm not just talking about physical handicaps, but visual handicap, the deaf, and various other things. So I want to thank the board for their full support of this, and just thank God that law was passed some years ago and made the citizens aware of such obstacles that they could provide very useful citizens a very useful life. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Cunningham. Alderman Hayes.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I want to thank Jen Yanneman again, she and her husband, Rick. I also want to thank Russ Edwards. Thank you, Russ. I appreciate the shout out. And then also Peg Petrelli for all she's done with the ADA and representing that committee. This is another proud moment for this board. Thank you all for signing on.
Alderman Hayes, thank you. Alderman Waters.
Thank you, Mayor. It's just a pleasure to hear remarks what I just heard in the last 3 minutes. And I don't mind spreading the word. I have a niece. She has Down syndrome. We got a call let's see, today is Tuesday. We got a call Saturday. And you know, at age 55 with Down syndrome, you people understand that's unreal. They don't live that long. So I don't mind telling the board. I know what we're talking about, and God knows I love the ADA. It's wonderful. So, and I appreciate what I just heard in the last couple of minutes. It was a different tone altogether. So let's just keep together when it comes to this particular resolution, this ordinance, and thank everybody. Whether you've got someone in your family that's involved in this or not, that's beside the point. You got to stand up for what's right. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, board.
I appreciate that, Alderman Waters. So we are voting on these items as a group. Item B, D, E, F, and G. I see nobody else wishing to speak. Please let Kay know. Please vote aye if you support this. When Kay calls your name, please vote no if you don't. Okay, thank you.
Woodcock,
We didn't hear you.
Daryl, you're ready to go.
Waters,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Bolt,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye. I think that passed 14-0.
14.
Kay, am I correct? That was unanimous?
It was unanimous.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have item in C. This is ordinance 2020-23, an ordinance accepting and appropriating a cops hiring program grant. Alderman Brown.
So moved.
Second.
Motion. I'm sorry, I cut. Alderman Edwards, is that you?
No,
I didn't, but
Mr. Sprouse.
Alderman Sprouse seconded it.
Okay. I would like to amend this ordinance.
Alderman Robertson is next. Alderman Robertson, do you want to go to Alderman
Okay.
Brown?
Let me wait till he amends it.
That makes sense. Thank you. Alderman Brown, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I'd like to speak to it, then I would like to amend it. And then, but speaking to it, basically, we have applied for a COPS grant for, I don't know, 15 years at least, never received one. And all of a sudden, in one of our toughest years, we get the go-ahead that we received a grant. And the biggest thing I'm going to tell you is the other department heads and the other folks, I know we have put on a hiring freeze. We discussed that in our budgets long and hard. The CA made that pretty clear when they were doing budgets that we just couldn't hire anybody right now. This opportunity came after that period of time. And I do think it's an opportunity. I hate to say free money, but there's a chunk of free money here for us to get, plus the ability to hire 3 police officers. So this went to public safety. We discussed public safety, and we had 3 affirmative votes there to bring it toward the board. And wasn't really happy with some of the numbers that we had. So I got with Robert, got with the chiefs, made some phone calls, and got our numbers a little bit better than what you see in the ordinance. And that'll be my amendment when I get there. But I think it's an opportunity for us to hire 3 folks. It's a federal grant that will help us for the next 3 years. We will pay about 31% the first year, and then it steps up a bit after that. The total grant is worth $375,000 of the federal money to us. Our part will be $258,000 over a 3-year period. That's 3 officers for 3 years and their total salaries. But where it says, whereas police department has been awarded a COPS hiring grant in the amount of $375 is accepted Here's the amendment. Further the amount of $127,684 from the grant, along with $54,722 of our money will be in those places where it says 125 and 86,000. So it will cost the city of Hendersonville $54,722 this coming year. Our 3 police officers will use $127,684 of the grant money toward that. I would urge you to pass it. I think you can see, I hate to say that's a bargain, but it is a bargain. It'd be a bargain for 3 years. And so that would be my amendment, that we change those numbers to 127,684, 54,722. These are not Steve's numbers, these are Robert's numbers. So
Steve, Alderman Brown, before I ask for a second, I want to make sure that those numbers also need to go down in the enactment paragraph.
yes, they do. Yes, they do. Any place those others not, those are replacing those.
Okay.
Thank you.
So in the final paragraph where it says 125,000, it also needs to be 127,684. And the line below that where it says $86,088.67, that needs to be 54,722.
Yes.
Okay. So we've got an amendment. We've got a motion for an amendment.
Second.
And a second from Alderman Waters. Okay, Alderman Brown, do I need to come back to you or Alderman Robertson?
I'm good. You can go
Okay.
to Mr. Robertson.
Thank you. Okay, Alderman Robertson, to everybody, I feel like this amendment, you can speak on the main motion because the amendment very much applies to the main motion. Alderman Robertson, go ahead.
No, the amendment has satisfied my question. I participated or I listened in on the Public Safety Committee and I was having some trouble with the numbers, but Chairman Brown has cleared that up. I'm proud to support this motion and thank you, Chairman Brown.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Alderman Edwards.
Okay, briefly, Alderman Brown, so the city would be out $54,000. That's this fiscal year. Is that if they're hired in October, on October 1st? Is that what?
They would have a hire date. I'm sorry, Russ, I don't think I said that. Thanks for bringing it up. Actually, the reason we're saving some money there is we would not be able to hire to September 1st, simply because we're in the middle of July now. We have to accept this grant by the 1st of August. We have 45 days to accept it. So we will have to have 2 readings on this. We'll have another reading in 2 weeks. And after that, the chiefs will be able to work with HR and go through their hiring process, and then go through drug screens, so on and so forth. It'll be September 1st before we get them hired anyway.
Okay, I appreciate it.
We'll actually be paying for 10 months.
Okay. All right, I appreciate it. I mean, it looks like we could stand to lose a lot of money if we do not apply for this grant. I know we committed during the budget process to not to have a hiring freeze, but we need to take this opportunity has presented itself, and we need to take advantage of this opportunity, or we could potentially lose a lot of money. So I really hope we get unanimous support on this. Thank you.
Alderman Edwards, thank you. All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2020-23, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Are we voting on the amendment?
I'm sorry. Thank you, Kay. Yes, we need to vote on the amendment first.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Yes.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore, Skidmore,
I said aye 15 times with the mute button on.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous on the amendment.
So the amendment passed unanimously. Next, we have the main motion as amended. Again, I need to read this. This is ordinance 2020-23. First reading, ordinance accepting and appropriating a cops hiring program grant. All those in favor of the ordinance as amended, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
That passed unanimously. Kay, please correct me if I'm wrong. I believe all that we have left are other agenda items, and we have grouped those A, B, and C. Am I correct, Kay?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Kay, am I correct that all we have left are those 3 items and they've already been grouped?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to approve by Alderman Sprouse, and I think it was Alderman Waters that made a second on that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Any discussion on those? All those in favor of approving a reappointment of John Shelley to serve on the Industrial Development Board, reappointment of Rita Lee to serve on the Personnel Board, and the reappointment of Daryl Spindler to serve on the Personnel Board, please signify by saying aye when Kay calls your name. Those opposed, please say no.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Hayes, Hayes,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Bolt,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
I make a motion to adjourn and to wish Mr. Waters a happy birthday.
Those passed unanimously. Alderman Sprouse has made a motion to adjourn and to wish Alderman Waters a happy birthday.
Second on both.
We have a second from Alderman Edwards. All those in favor of adjourning and wishing Alderman Waters a happy birthday, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed to adjourning and wishing Alderman Waters a happy
Come
birthday.
on. You can't do that. I know Bolt is going to say no.
We group those. So if Bolt says no, he's also voting to not adjourn. Okay, please call.
Yeah,
Bolt,
I will split my vote. Aye. So.
You just split your vote.
Brown,
Can you abstain on a vote like that? Aye.
Campbell,
Aye. Happy birthday, Mr. Waters.
Thank you, Pat.
Cunningham,
Aye. Happy 86, Mr. Waters.
Thank you. Forget that I'm 35.
Edwards,
Aye. Happy birthday.
Thank
Hayes,
you.
Aye. Happy birthday, Jim.
Thank you.
Petrelli,
Aye. Happy
Petrelli,
birthday, Mr. Waters.
Thank you, huh?
Robertson,
Aye, and happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you.
Skidmore,
Aye. Happy birthday, my man.
Thank you, Mark.
Sprouse,
Aye, and happy birthday.
Thank
Waters,
you. I can't split my vote either. Aye. Happy birthday, me.
Woodcock,
Happy birthday. Aye.
Clary.
Aye. Alderman Waters, I hope you and Virginia have many, many birthdays to come together. We're
Thank you.
adjourned.
Amen.
Good night, everybody.